Legendary Walt Disney warned everyone that their live-action remake of Snow White would be an abject failure. Hollywood ignored his warning and instead decided to dig up his most sacred masterpiece, twist it beyond recognition, and hand the starring role to an inexperienced actress with more controversies than credits. What followed was a perfect storm of arrogance, entitlement, and disastrous decision-making that left Disney with a $300 million crater in their legacy. The numbers don't lie. Theaters around the world are empty. A 1.6 out of 10 rating on IMDb, just 20% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a staggering $250 million budget that barely brought back $87 million worldwide. The CGI dwarves will give you nightmares, and the little people they replaced with CGI have filed a class-action lawsuit against Disney. This was Disney's biggest box office disaster in recent memory. And while there were many poor decisions that led to the total collapse of Disney's live-action Snow White remake, one name kept coming up over and over again: Rachel Zegler. An actress with no major credits, no Hollywood legacy, and no proven audience appeal was given the lead role in a film meant to revive one of Disney's most sacred properties, and who insisted that they change the entire film to make it more politically correct. Instead, she became the face of one of its most embarrassing failures. So how did a no-name actress manage to kill a Disney classic? Rachel Zegler didn't come from a famous family. She wasn't a child star. She was just a teenager from New Jersey who sent in an audition tape for Steven Spielberg's remake of West Side Story. Out of 30,000 submissions, she was chosen to play Maria, her very first film role. The movie flopped at the box office, but her performance earned critical acclaim, and she went on to win the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. But here's where things went sideways. Disney decided to cast her as Snow White in their new live-action remake. A bold move, considering she had almost no experience and was stepping into the shoes of the very first Disney princess in history. Snow White isn't just any character. She's the foundation of Disney's entire animated empire. Walt Disney called her his baby. So this was not a role you take lightly, but Zegler didn't treat it with reverence. In fact, she mocked it. In interview after interview, Rachel criticized the original 1937 film, calling it outdated and problematic. She laughed about how Snow White wouldn't be saved by a prince in her version. She claimed the prince was a stalker. She even made a monumental announcement on Twitter where she wrote, "Yes, I am Snow White. No, I am not bleaching my skin for the role." Rachel deleted this tweet shortly after sending it out to the world. It came off arrogant, dismissive, and worst of all, ungrateful. This wasn't someone honored to take on a legendary role. This was someone who couldn't stop tearing it down. Audiences noticed, and of course, they weren't happy. The backlash started small, with a few viral tweets and angry YouTube comments. But it snowballed fast. Soon, entire communities online were calling for a boycott. The trailer was flooded with dislikes. Even people who supported diverse casting felt that Rachel's attitude was too smug, too self-important. And then came the dwarfs. Disney decided to scrap the classic 7 dwarfs and replace them with a diverse group of magical creatures of all sizes and genders. Instead of hiring little people actors, they used CGI. And this was because actor Peter Dinklage had criticized the remake for being regressive. But here's the twist. The dwarfism community wanted to play those roles. And when Disney replaced them with animated characters, the same people they were trying not to offend were the ones calling them out. Several actors even filed a class action lawsuit against Disney, claiming they lost out on career-defining opportunities. So now Disney had 2 PR disasters: an actress publicly bashing the original film and a community backlash over representation gone wrong. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, it did. Rachel Zegler wasn't done making headlines. During the 2023 writers' strike, she made a viral comment that rubbed even more people the wrong way. "If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour it streams online." She was technically supporting the strike, but the way she said it came off as entitled. Here was an actress with just 1 film under her belt, already demanding higher pay and more recognition. Critics called her out for being out of touch. It didn't help that she also made tone-deaf comments about her second film, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, saying she only took the role because she needed a job. It wasn't what she said, It was how she said it. Always sarcastic and always smug. The public had made up their mind. Rachel Zegler wasn't a misunderstood underdog. She was the reason they weren't going to see this movie. And then came the political grenade. After Disney released the official trailer for Snow White, Rachel celebrated the views and then used the moment to post "Free Palestine" on social media. Her co-star Gal Gadot is Israeli and had spoken out about attacks on her country. Rachel's post sparked an even bigger wave of outrage. Gadot began receiving death threats, and Disney was forced to hire her private security. A Disney producer flew across the country to personally talk to Rachel, not for a press opportunity, but because things were spiraling out of control. He reportedly reminded her that she was the face of a film with hundreds of millions of dollars and thousands of jobs on the line. After that, Disney hired a social media team to monitor her posts. It was too late. The damage had already been done. When the movie finally hit theaters in March 2025, it was dead on arrival. Despite a massive marketing budget and a legacy brand behind it, the film opened to just $87 million against a bloated $250+ million production and reshoot budget. It was a certified box office bomb. Critics didn't hold back. Audiences roasted the CGI. They called it lifeless, flat, soulless. The plot felt confused, the tone inconsistent, the visuals bland. The magic of Disney was gone, replaced by awkward dialogue, poor pacing, and a lead actress that the public had already written off. And as a result, the movie could not receive anything but brutal ratings and reviews on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. People who liked Rachel's singing admitted she wasn't the problem, but she had become the symbol of everything wrong with the remake. And her response to the backlash? Even worse. Instead of acknowledging the failure or showing humility, Rachel doubled down. She compared herself to the winged victory statue at the Louvre, saying, "Despite my flaws and my cracks, people will still line up to see me." But what happened? It was the quite opposite. Even if Rachel didn't write the script, direct the movie, or edit the CGI, she had become the face of the failure. Because instead of inspiring nostalgia or excitement, she inspired resistance. Her attitude poisoned the entire film before it was even released. She didn't just star in a Disney movie, she helped kill one of the most cherished fairy tales in history. Studios like Disney keep trying to modernize classic films without understanding why they were beloved in the first place. They prioritize messaging over magic, casting over character, virtue over vision. And in doing so, they lose the trust of their audience. Rachel Zegler was a symptom of a much larger problem: Hollywood arrogance. The idea that fans will show up no matter what. That legacy doesn't matter. That criticism can be brushed off as hate. But the audience has spoken, and this time they said no. No to the disrespect of classics, no to the rewriting of history, no to stars who mocked the roles they were given. Walt Disney was famously protective of Snow White. He turned down sequels, rejected spin-offs, insisted that the original should remain untouched. And now we know why. Because when you hand it over to people who don't understand the responsibility, this is what happens. A no-name actress, a rewritten script, CGI nightmares, and a $250 million dumpster fire that will go down as one of the most avoidable disasters in Disney history. How a no-name actress killed a Disney classic isn't just a catchy title, it's a warning. One that the studio and the rest of Hollywood better start taking seriously.